So we ended up seeing a 13.5% move to the downside. And this was after we had experienced a surge to the upside, where we tapped into this region here between 81 cents to 84 cents. And I talked previously about how we could have three potential setups in play, where one of which was a WXY structure, where of course the Y wave tapped into this region here. And the second setup was a 5-wave move to the upside, where the fifth wave ended up reaching around 84 cents. And the third setup was a 5-wave move to the upside, where this was our third wave at around 84 cents. And I was looking at for a retracement to the downside to complete the fourth wave, followed by a final fifth wave move to the upside, where I was looking for ADA to potentially tap into this region here at around 86 cents. But as you can see, we ended up getting rejected at this key level at around 83 cents. And that then led to this move to the downside, which is something I talked about in my previous video, where I mentioned how it was possible that this wave structure was complete. And what we could see is a 50 to 88.2% retracement of this wave structure. And essentially that's what ended up playing out. And so if I draw that in, what you can see is that 50% to 88.2% retracement level sits within a region of 72 to 77 cents, which is where we tapped into. So if I remove this and remove this, what you can see is on this move to the downside, we ended up testing some key levels, with one of which being this key level at around 74.6 cents. And this is a key level because previously we ended up finding support and resistance. And so if I go back in time, what you can see is over here, we ended up finding support at that level, which ended up, resulting in a breakout to the upside. And over here, we ended up getting rejected. Same goes for over here, we ended up getting rejected. Here we found support for a brief moment, but then ultimately we ended up getting rejected and we found resistance. And over here we found support, and over here we found support for a brief moment, but then ultimately we ended up getting rejected at both this level at 74.6 cents and also the lower trend line. And yeah, following this move to the downside, we then saw a breakout to the upside, and it looks like this move to the upside is actually impulsive, where what we are forming is a 5-wave move, like so. And reason being is because we ended up testing the 1.618 retracement level, where that 1.618 retracement level sits at 77 cents, and we actually broke through that level. And so if this was a WXY structure, then that Y wave would typically reach anywhere between that 1 to 1.226. But again, because we extended beyond the 1.226 retracement level and we reached this level here, it looks like we are within a impulsive move to the upside. And so it's possible that the bottom is now set in and we could potentially see higher highs. And so if I go on the 4-hour chart very quickly, what you can see is we have had consecutive green candlesticks up until this point here during the time of recording. And we also managed to close above the previous candlestick also. That's also a bullish confirmation. And so if I go back to the hourly chart, it wouldn't surprise me if we were to retest the 200 DMA, but ultimately I am looking at for a high high. Now you can also see that following this move to the downside, we saw a death cross where the 50 EMA ended up crossing the 200 DMA. And if we continue to see high highs, then I do anticipate the 50 EMA crossing the 200 DMA, which is also known as a golden cross. And that would also confirm that we are on a bullish trend. And so if I remove this and go on the 4-hour chart, it's possible that what we could have forming is a WXY structure. So if I was to draw that in and target at that Y wave, then it's possible that ADA could potentially reach anywhere between that 1 to 1.236 retracement level. And the 100% retracement level more or less aligns with this key level that I talked about previously, which is our local top at 86 cents. And so this is a key level to be looking out for. And if ADA was to break through the 1.236 retracement level, then it's possible that what we are forming is a 5-wave move as opposed to a WXY structure, where this is our wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that 5th wave can then potentially retest the upper trend line. Now, of course, you do have to look at both sides, where one of which is bullish and one of which is bearish. And so, of course, the bullish setup would be this one here, where ADA could potentially retest the upper trend line. And the bearish setup could be that we have a bigger WXY structure forming, where ADA could then potentially tap into this region here. And should that be the case, what I can do is actually target out that Y wave. And you can see that ADA has a potential to reach anywhere between 66 cents to around 69 cents. And even if ADA was to tap into this region here, we'll still be above the local low at around 64 cents, and we can still remain bullish because as you can see, smart money concept is indicating that we have a strong low and a weak high. And so it's possible that we can still go deeper, but then ultimately we could still see higher highs. Now, it's also worth noting that we are overbought on a stochastic RSI on both the 4-hour chart and on the hourly chart, and so we could potentially see that retracement, given that the bulls are slowly starting to lose that momentum. And so it kind of aligns with what I talked about previously, where, it wouldn't surprise me if we were to retest that 200 DMA. But again, ultimately, I am looking at for a higher high as opposed to lower lows. So that's just my update on Cardano ADA. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.